Hi, everybody.
Hello, I'm Ryan.
I'm Bethany.
And we are Ryan and Bethany Board Game Reviews.
And today we'll be talking about Disney's Sorcerer Arena Epic Alliance Core Set. And this is by Sean Fletcher and published by The Op.
All right, you guys, this is a battle arena style game. You have this board, and all these characters are...
Pow! Pow!
You got two teams that are battling it out. But it's not like it's like good versus evil. It's not even like it's Disney versus Pixar. It is a full-on mashup of all different characters throughout the Disney and Pixar universes. And you are just going head-to-head, combining all these different powers in order to knock everybody out. Let me show you how to play. Alright, here's our setup for Sorcerer's Arena Epic Alliances. Basically, what we're doing is this is kind of a miniatures tactical game. We're trying to knock out the opponents and score victory points based off of how tough they are. So in this case, we've got our team here. We've got Sully, Aladdin, and Demona. I think I'm saying that right. Up against Maleficent, Ariel, and Gaston. So it's just a whole mashup of all different Disney characters. Each one of the characters is going to give us some information on their card. So basically here we have what that contributes to our starting hand, also how much health they have, and then over here we have how much victory points our opponent's going to get if they're able to knock us out. We have our skills there. We also have what's going to be in our deck and what it's going to take to upgrade our character. On the other side, there is a slightly better version of that character that we can use our discard pile actually to upgrade. On your turn, you're going to be able to move, you're going to be able to take an action, and you're going to be able to play a skill. Alright, so you can do those in any order you want. There is a base movement, kind of a standard movement. Most of the time it's 2. So if I wanted to move Sully on his turn, 1, 2, then he could do his action. There's a standard action that is going to be, in this case, doing 2 damage to an adjacent opponent. And then there's a skill. So each character has their own skills. You can do this in any order, like I said. However, we also have a deck of cards that is comprised of a smaller deck of each one of the characters on our team. We're going to be able to shuffle that up, and what it's going to do is it's going to give us advanced actions that we can take on our turn. So instead of the standard movement of 2, we might have a card that's specifically for Sully that says things like move 3, or move anywhere on the board, or whatever the case is. And for the action, instead of doing the standard 2 damage action, you can play a card that says something like deal 3 damage, or deal 4 damage if you're adjacent to more than one opponent. So they're all different cards that apply specifically to our characters. You can even augment your movement and your damage further by discarding cards as well. The health of our characters is on the cards, but also there's a little dial here right on the base of our characters that tells us how much health they have left. And you spin that dial down to show what their current health is. When you are first learning the game, there's these helpful kind of rules here. This is the rules reference. There's a chapter 1, chapter 2, and then eventually chapters 3 and 4 as well. Once you know the game, chapters 3 and 4 reference could just be used as a game reference to kind of help you on your turn, kind of do the turn order track. In the standard game, we're trying to get to 20 points. Now, there's 2 ways to get victory points. Like I already mentioned, you can knock out your opponent's players. What's going to happen is, if once you get their health down to 0, based off what is on the card, you're going to get that many points. So if someone knocked out this character, they would get 5 points. Furthermore, there are 3 spots on the board that have those gold spots right there. If your turn ever starts with your active character on one of those spots, you're going to get an additional victory point. That kind of ensures that both teams are kind of drawn towards the middle of the board. That's where a lot of the action is going to be happening as we're all fighting each other and fighting for those spots on the board to give us extra points. We have our turn order track here on the side of the board over here. That's going to do a couple of things for us. First of all, it shows us whose turn it is. It alternates back and forth between the red and the blue team. Also, there's initiative values on those cards, and that's going to determine who the starting player is based off of the initiative of what order you want to go in. Also, the way these are set up, you can also apply conditions to them. So one of the characters might say, you know what, this character is shrunken, and so you can put a little marker like that on them. Or you know what, this character is flustered. So you can apply all these different conditions to your characters. Sometimes it'll even tell you they're flustered 2 times. So then in that case, you put in 2 of these little markers. And at the beginning of that character's turn, you're going to remove one of those markers, limiting how flustered or how strong or how immobilized or whatever it is that they are. When you are knocked out, you take your player character off the board, set them aside, and at the beginning of the next turn, they're going to come back onto the board at the very back row here of either side. Also, I want to talk about upgrading your character. At the bottom of all these character cards, there's a little symbol. What's going to happen is, once you start adding cards to your discard pile, you're going to notice here on your card, there's some symbols down here of what it takes to upgrade them. What you can do is you can remove that many things from your discard pile that match those symbols in order to flip them over. So that's going to be how you get your advanced moves and your advanced skills for your specific characters. The game is going to end in one of 2 ways. Either, when one of the players reaches 20 points, they win the game. Or, if one of the players runs out of all the cards in their deck, you basically stop right there and you determine how many points each player has. And whoever has the most points wins the game.
I really liked the standees in this game. Just those like little clear images, and it was characters you were familiar with, right? So you are, and some characters you forgot you were familiar with. But I just really liked how it looked on the board and how all of them had like a front and a back side. You remember that? So if they're like not facing you, there's actually like a back side to the characters. But it just looked really cool. Like sometimes you get a box and you open up the box and you're like, wow, I hope this has a great gameplay because the components are just blah. But I open up this box and I'm like, ooh, this is going to be fun.
You guys, this reminded me a little bit of like a game like Smash Up, right? So you get 3 random characters on your team and you are trying to, and you shuffle up their decks. Each one has their own little miniature deck of cards. You combine all those decks of cards, shuffle them all up, and then you basically have a small hand of cards and you're drawing from this deck. You might get powers that are for, let's say, Ariel, but right now it's not Ariel's turn, it's Gaston's turn, or whatever the case is. You gotta kind of leverage those cards in unique ways in order to win.
I really thought it was clever how in the middle of the board, those 3 spots where you can get 1 point if your character starts their next turn like that. And the reason why I really liked that is because it progressed the game and it made the game have a focus. So not only that, but that was also the widest part of the board. So it's not like characters are getting smushed up or staying here. It gave the game a purpose, a vision, a focus. So each character knew this is where we want to be. This is where we want to stay. So it kind of progressed the game forward, and I really like that. I mean, it's only the 1 point. You get the majority of points from knocking people out, but it still gave all the players a direction to go.
Exactly. I think that this the turn order tracker, it's kind of acting like an initiative track, was very important. You can kind of look at it at a glance and see who was coming up next in the turn order, when it was going to cycle back around. It also had those all those different status effects. You could put those right there on the turn order. So again, at a glance, you could see, oh shoot, my guy is currently immobilized. You know, he's not going to be able to move on my next turn. Or, oh man, their character is currently tough and strong. So if I go against them, I'm going to really need to bring the thunder in order to do some damage. Which I thought was a really great, clear, visual way of being able to explore everything you needed to see. I also want to mention the rulebook. It has really kind of a neat learning system where you're kind of going through these chapters, and it kind of teaches you aspects about the game in order in these chapters. So chapter 1 is, teaches you some very, very basics. Chapter 2, it keeps on going until chapter 4, and then you kind of basically learn the entire game. So it spoon feeds you in a very easy to digest way how to play this game. The problem with that, though, is referencing rules. After you've learned the game, I need to reference a rule and figure out, whatever it is. You got to kind of sift through the entire rule book. Which part of the game, or which part of the tutorial was that certain mechanism introduced in? So then I have to reference that mechanism and the rules on that particular mechanism based off of, was it chapter 2, was it chapter 3? So it's not necessarily clear once you're trying to reference the rules after the fact. But from a learning standpoint, this is a great learning rule book. Just maybe I needed a separate reference rule book or something like that.
That's kind of where the op is really great, though, right? Is they are able to take these IPs that people are familiar with and bring them into a tabletop world, and it's actually like gamified, right? And because of a rule book like that, you can bring people who are maybe not tabletop gamers and walk them through that. I had a lot of fun with this game, I keep telling Ryan that I don't like arena-style games, and then I keep enjoying them more than him. So maybe I just don't know who I am, right?
Identity crisis.
Yeah, but I really enjoyed this. It was so much fun, and there's already an expansion coming out. This is going to be an easily expandable game. I thought they did a great job with blending the characters when you were playing with them. You could definitely find synergy between all of that. I just thought it was a great game, and that the op does a good job of taking these IPs, like I said minutes ago, but taking these IPs and being able to bring them into a tabletop world.
Yeah, and on top of that, not only is it just Disney and is it Pixar, but it's based off of an app called, the same name, Disney Sorcerer's Arena. So you have all these people who are playing this app. They might walk by a store and see, oh, that's the app that I play. Holy crap, there's a tabletop version of it. Let's check it out,
Yeah.
And I think because of that style of introducing all these gamer concepts and all these basically miniatures, combat battle, just like in the app, but with an easy to understand rule set that kind of spells it out clearly for you, I think that's going to be a great way to introduce people into this hobby, which is fantastic. They did just a great job implementing those combat based miniatures based mechanisms in a way that didn't seem overly violent or anything like that. It was like do 2 damage or whatever, and you're knocked out. You're not dead.
Yeah.
So overall, I think Disney fans are going to like this. I think the app fans are going to like this, and I think people who like miniatures, skirmish style, arena style games are going to like this too. Overall, it's just a lot of like different categories, a lot of different buckets, and it's done very well.
Everybody, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you can see our videos as they come out. Until then, you can follow us in all these places, and we will see you next time.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.